Welcome to AgriMinds, the podcast where we explore the intersections of personal growth and professional success in the ag industry. I'm Kacee, your host. Thank you for joining me as we dive in to the different strategies and insights that will help you level up your life and career. From mental health to leadership development, we're going to cover it all. So sit back and get ready to grow with AgriMinds. Well, hey there, and welcome back to the AgriMinds podcast. Today, I'm going to share with you one of the most common struggles that I hear from my coaching clients: not knowing what to do next. I know I've been there, and I'm sure that you have as well. If you're not going through it currently, I'm sure at some point in your life, you're like, I have no idea what to do now. You're stuck in a job that no longer feels right. Maybe you just had a kid and you're like, everything's different. Maybe you just got laid off. Maybe you're wearing 100 hats and you have no idea which ones to trim back because you just can't stand wearing all of them all the time anymore. Whatever the case may be, just know you are not alone. We've all been there at some point. And if you haven't, I'm sure it will come. And so today is even more important for you because this could help you be proactive versus reactive to these types of life events. So whatever the thing is that you're dealing with where you're feeling stuck, just know you're not alone in this, and that clarity comes from action. I know that you're like, wait a second, I don't understand. That doesn't make sense. I need to sit and I need to think about what I need to do. If you're anything like me, if you're a wonder in the working genius framework, that's me. I want to sit and I want to think about my next steps. I want to be very intentional. But clarity is created from action. Action creates clarity. It doesn't come from the more things I think about, the more clarity I'm going to get. It's the more things I do, the more clear I'm going to get. So we're going to dive further into that today. But before I get started, I want to share with you a story about a real client of mine. And we're going to call her Sarah for privacy's sake today. Sarah worked in ag marketing. Super smart, super capable, very well connected in the industry, but boy, was she burnt out. She was very directionless and she was unsure if she even wanted to stay in agriculture. And I hate hearing that. I've actually heard that several times from clients because they're like, I just don't like this job. I don't even know if it makes sense for me to stay in this industry. Do I need to go outside of the industry to find my spark, to find whatever the thing is that I'm supposed to be doing? I can't answer that for you, but it breaks my heart because I just feel like anything can be done within our industry and we just can't see it though. And so we started working together, and at first she was like, Kacee, can you just help me like put a plan together, like a 12-step program, if you will, like help me just put all this stuff together. Just tell me what to do next. And I was like, I would love to, but I'm not gonna. I'm just not gonna do that. That's not how I work. I am not going to tell you the answer. That's more of a consultant type thing, not necessarily a coaching type of thing. But here's what I want to challenge you with. I want you to say yes to something small. It doesn't have to be crazy. Say yes to something that gets you excited. And at first she was like, I have no idea. I haven't done anything exciting in so long. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what I like anymore. Life has just happened and all of my passions have been put on the back burner. I don't even know what gets me excited. So she spent a little time kind of thinking about like, what's the thing? And she ended up volunteering at a local FFA event. Not because she thought it was going to be like the thing that told her what she needed to do next or what this next career change or move was going to be, but because it was something that lit her up. That one event reminded her of what got her excited. It reminded her of the things that she loved doing, and it wasn't marketing. She had this career in marketing, but it wasn't the thing that lit her up, but she was good at it. And I think that there's a big difference there that so many of us overlook. It's like, just because you're good at something, just because you've done something for so long, doesn't mean it's the thing that's gonna get you excited. And so over time, One thing led to another for her. She kept saying yes to the things that lit her up. Conversations were had, new people were met, new connections were made, and eventually it ended up her meeting somebody that gave her a job opportunity that was more into ag education. She didn't wait for clarity. She created it through action. And I think that that's the big thing is like, had she sat around and just kind of waited for this big sign or this big thing to come find her to tell her, hey, you need to be doing this thing, she went out into the world and she made it happen. And I think a lot of people are like, wow, that's good for her. That's luck, right? Well, what's the worst that's going to happen? In my mind, if you're doing things, you're either saying, yes, this is aligned, or no, it's not. But it's at least giving you clarity. Clarity of what's working, clarity of what's not working, clarity of stuff that I like doing, clarity of stuff that I don't like doing. Action creates clarity. Where this whole idea came from for me is when I discovered the Ikigai framework. And I think I've mentioned this in past episodes, but in case this is the very first episode that you're listening to or you missed that one, Ikigai, Ikigai, is a framework. It's a Japanese concept, if you will, that means reason for being. It has 4 elements inside of it: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. I'm going to say that one more time because I think a lot of us miss 1 or 2 of those. So there's 4 main elements within the Ikigai framework, if you will. What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. And if you can picture a big circle in the middle that's you, and overlapping circles around the edges, kind of like flower petals, if you will. If all of those things are aligned, that creates harmony. That's the thing that makes you feel fulfilled and that you're doing the thing that you were put on this earth to do. So if you can check the box on all 4 of those things and find equalness or balance in those 4 areas, that's where we feel fulfilled and aligned. Now, listen, I'm realistic. Life happens. And sometimes one of those areas, let's just picture one of those bubbles or one of those circles might be smaller. Like maybe I'm not doing as much stuff as I love doing, but I'm getting paid a whole lot more than I think I should be getting paid for doing that. That's bonus, right? For this particular season of your life. I'm not saying that's the long-term strategy, but sometimes one of those areas might be swayed further to one side than the other, or larger on one area than the other. Again, temporarily, sometimes that's how that needs to be. But if you can get all of those 4 things aligned, that's the missing piece here. That's the thing. That's the key to happiness, if you will. We think we need clarity before we move, but what we actually need is action. And when we start to tap into those 4 different areas and saying, what do I love? What am I good at? What does the world need? And what can I be paid for? You don't necessarily know that just by sitting and thinking and assuming, but when you start putting some action in there, you're going to get that clarity. So what I want to leave you with, what I want to ask you is, what have you been waiting on? What have you been stuck on? And can you ask yourself those 4 questions? What do you love to do? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you be paid for? And what is one small thing that you can say yes to that might spark some curiosity or some excitement out of you? And maybe it's reaching out to somebody and asking questions, signing up for a class, saying yes to something that feels good, even if it doesn't fit neatly into your plan, because that next step might not look anything like what you've done before. It might feel like a leap. It's a pivot, maybe. We talked about pausing, pivoting, and pushing through last week. It may be a completely different thing. But what's one small thing that you can do today to just dip your toe in and see if it feels aligned? If you are craving more of this clarity, more of this type of conversation and resources, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life or both, I want to invite you to check out AgriMinds. It is a space where ag professionals just like you are gaining momentum. They're discovering their purpose, and they're intentionally designing the path that fits with them. Not what mom and dad want, not what their spouse wants, not what their forefathers 5 generations ahead of them have done, or what their boss even wants them to do, but what actually works for you in this season of your life. So you can click the show notes to learn more about the program. You can reach out to me anytime. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out today. You just have to start. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.